Ravshan
Assalomu
Ahmedov bu yerda.
zo'r.
Ravshan
Assalomu alaykum.
Ahmedov.
Assalomu alaykum hurmatli o'qituvchilar. Bugun bizlar ikkita tilda olib boramiz konferensiyamizni. Ravshan Ahmedov, как раз shu Ravshan Ahmedov haqida gapiruvdim. Ular bugun xalq ta'limi vakili sifatida biz bilan uchrashdilar. Komandaga xush kelibsiz Ravshanbek. Aytmoqchimanki, bizlar o'zbek tilida ham, ingliz tilida ham olib borishga harakat qilayotganimiz. Bizlar maqsadimiz ko'proq o'qituvchilarni o'zimizga qamrab olishimiz. Chunki sizlar bilasizlar, hamma o'qituvchilar ingliz tilini bilishi kerak. Ingliz tili bu faqat predmet bo'lmay qoldi. Bu ingliz tili hozir har qanaqa o'qituvchini professional ko'nikmalaridan bittasi bo'lib qoldi. Tilni bilsangiz, demak siz dunyoga tegishli o'qituvchisiz, tilni bilmasangiz, shunga o'xshagan o'qituvchi emassiz. Endi UC o'zini partnyorlari bilan nima qilishga intilyapti? Sizlardek o'qituvchilarni malakalarini xalqaro darajaga olib chiqishga harakat qilyapmiz. Shuning uchun bizlar xalqaro standart nima deydi, konsepsiyasini oldinga olib chiqdik. Bugun sizlarga qanaqa qilib shu malakalarni baholash mexanizmini joriy qilamiz. Bizani lektorimiz Farhodjon Kadirov, sizlar bilasizlar u kishini. Hello Farhod, shu yerdamisiz?
Good evening everyone. I hope you are all
Farhod
great.
bizlarda inostroyens bugun вообще o'zbekcha gapirmaydi. Va tarjimonim
Kolumbiya
ham.
universitetini bitirgan. Men aytdim tinglovchilarimga, Kolumbiyadan, Kolumbiya universitetini bitirgan. Ya'ni Kolumbiyskiy, New Yorkdagi Kolumbiyskiy, Amerikada.
And I also did 2 other masters actually.
Yeah, he also did the masters of UC as well.
In Turkey.
Yes. The third one. I mean the third one.
Right.
Okay, welcome to everybody. We would work here as a team. Rohatoy Boltaeva part of the team, and then Oybek Mamov also the part of the team. And Jamila Pam, you know that our regular moderator, coordinator, motivator. And then, of course, we are expecting for the next conference, we will have Basir, Dr. Rodney with us as well. He is leading the team, co-leading. Okay, Farhod. Kechirasizlar, o'zbekcha aytmayman. Bizani Jamila opamiz sizlar bilasizlar, moderator, motivator sifatida juda ko'p yillardan beri o'sishini asosiy yuragi. Komandada bizlarda yangi ekspertlarimiz bor. Malikani anaqasini o'chirish kerak bo'ladi. Malika yosh xodimimiz bilan birga qatnashyapti shekilli. Aytmoqchimanki, bizlar 5-6 kishi bizlar umuman hozir shu ideyani oldinga olib chiqayotgan insonlar. Orqamizda yana ham ko'p odamlar turibdi. Lekin shu 6 kishi asosiy aktyorlar sifatida sizlarga taqdim qilyapmiz. Demak, Dr. Rodney, amerikalik Webster professori, bizani ko'rganmiz. Ular boshida birga chiqqanmiz va nasib bo'lsa, Xudo xohlasa, oxirgi xalqaro konferensiyada birga bo'lamiz 25 fevralda. 18 fevralda 4 bizani vebinarimiz bo'ladi unda. Biroq xatoy qo'shimcha taqdim qiladilar. Malikaxon, rahmat. Agar ovozini o'chirib qo'ysangiz, xursand bo'lamiz. Bemalol bolalaringiz bilan qatnashish mumkin. Rahmat. Davom ettiramiz. Farhod.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our third webinar series related to core standards of teaching. And my name is Rohatoy Boltaeva. I will be helping Mr. Farhad Kadirov with technical stuff in today's webinar. And thank you for taking the time to join us today as we talk about how to use rubrics based on the core standards of teaching. I hope you will leave with impressions of how to assess students based on today's webinar, and you will hopefully share these learnings along with your colleagues. All right, let me share the screen of the presentation.
Siz screen olib chiqqaningizcha men yana bir marta tanishtiraman sizni. Rohatoy Boltaeva bugungi 3-chi xalqaro standartga bag'ishlangan 3-chi webinarimizni mana Oybek Imamovdan keyingi ikkinchisi Oybek Imomov bilan qilingan edi. 3-chi webinarimiz bu Farhodjon Tolipov, kechirasizlar, Kadirov. Moderatorimiz Rohatoy Boltaeva, men aytmoqchimanki, yana bir marta sizlar vaqt topib bugun bizlar bilan birga bo'lganlaringiz uchun katta rahmat. Bugun sizlarga asosiy aytadigan narsalarimiz shuki, o'qituvchilarni baholash mexanik, o'quvchilarni baholash emas, o'qituvchilarni baholashni olib chiqyapmiz. Nima uchun til kerak, nima uchun professional ko'nikma kerak? Mana shuni olib chiqyapmiz sizlarga. Buni ikkalasini farqiga yetishimiz kerak. Asosiy tilni bilmasang nima qilasan, o'qituvchi bo'lib deydigan odamlar bor yoki fizikani bilmasang nima qilasan degan. Bu tilni bilishimiz shart. Lekin tilga qo'shimcha siz o'qituvchi bo'la olmasangiz qiyin bo'ladi. Demak, bizlar asosan o'qituvchilarni baholaymiz. Marhamat, Farhod.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very glad to.
Please unmute yourself.
Well, I'm very glad to hear all of you, to see and hear some other people. Okay, so today we're going to talk about rubrics in general. What kind of rubrics we have and why do we need rubrics to improve teaching, learning, and assessment. So I hope that you have heard what rubric is. Yeah, Rohado, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, so I would like to ask a question. Do you develop assessment for your students, administer assessments, or give them assessments that was created by someone else, or do you do both of them?
Sizlarga Farhodjon savol beryaptilar. Tez-tez sizlar o'zlaringiz ishlaringiz jarayonida o'quvchilaringizni baholab turasizlarmi? Yoki o'quvchilaringizni o'sish jarayonini boshqarasizlarmi? O'sayotgan jarayonni boshqarasizlarmi? Faqat yoki ikkalasini ham qilasizlarmi? Mana deb javob berasizlar. Sizlar chatda yozishlaringiz mumkin, biz o'qib olamiz. Yes, of course.
All right. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. So let's move on.
That
to the
means
next slide.
that they do the both of them. Yes, we use formative assessment.
Today what we're going to do is we're going to understand what rubrics and assessment is, and types of rubrics, pluses and minuses, importance of rubrics in teaching, and speaking rubrics in proficiency examinations such as IELTS, CEFR, and steps in developing a rubric. All right, so let's continue. Let's start it.
Bugun biz rubriklar haqida gapiramiz. Rubrik degani jadvallar. O'sha jadvallarni qanaqa qilib ishlatamiz, qanaqa qilib baholaymiz, qanaqa qilib gapirishni baholaymiz, qanaqa qilib yozishni baholaymiz.
Make sure that they understand that it's assessment grid.
Yeah.
Assessment table.
Ha, tablitsada darajalarni ko'rsatadi. Masalan, 5 mi, 6 mi, 7 mi, 8 mi ekanligini ko'rsatadigan tablitsa.
Yes. Why do we need rubrics? Firstly, fair assessment is very important, right? To discover true potential in students. Because if we do not judge or if we do not evaluate or assess our students fairly, correctly, transparently, then our students will get stressed out. They will believe that they are unable to do anything. They don't have the true potential. So you remember a famous quote by Albert Einstein? Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. So
judayam yaxshi rasm. Mana o'qituvchilarning eng katta xatosi. Hamma baholovchilarning katta xatosi. Masalan, hammalaringizga bugun 5 deydi-da. Lekin hammalaringizga bugun 5 deydi, keyin yoki hammangga bugun 2 deydi. Yaxshi a'lochiga ham 2, boshqasiga ham 2. Nima uchun? Keyin boshqasi kerak yoki boshqacha. Ba'zi biriga 5 qo'yadi, ba'zi biriga 4 qo'yadi. Keyin o'qituvchilar yuradi orqasidan o'qituvchi. Menga 5 qo'ying, menga 5 qo'ying, dadam urishadi, ayam yurishadi. Nima degani 5? Uni qayerga olib borish kerak, nima qilish mumkinligini bilmaydi. Shuning uchun bu rasm juda ham ajoyib rasm, filosofik rasm. E'tibor bergan bo'lsalaringiz, baliq har doim suvda yuradi. U daraxtga chiqa olmaydi, lekin maymun daraxtlarda zo'r yuradi. Lekin maymun daraxtda turib senga anaqani ustida baliq ustida kulyapti. Sen hech qachon daraxtga chiqa olmaysan. Bu Einstein aytgan gap edi. Shuning uchun hech qachon maymun bo'lib turib baliqlarni baholamang deyapti. Thank you, Farhad, for this great picture.
Yes, what is a rubric? The word rubric itself comes from Latin. In Latin, it means red writings. In the past, people used to write something in different books as a set of rule. For example, in religious books, how many times they have to repeat certain words or certain verses. So now today, rubrics means a set of criteria, a set of scoring and grading criteria that helps to understand the student's work and the student's performance, and to assess the student's performance transparently and reliably. And experts agree on three things. Rubrics are
nima uchun talabalar o'qituvchiga ishonish kerak? Nima uchun o'qituvchini qo'ygan bahosiga talabalar ishonish kerak va bu haqiqatan shaffof baholash ekan tizimiga ishonish kerak. Uning uchun tablitsalar o'ylab topilgan, darajalarga bo'lingan. Shu tablitsalarga qarab turib, baho o'qituvchini qo'ygan bahosi to'g'rimi yoki noto'g'ri emasligi aytiladi. Shunga qarab bola o'quvchilarimiz o'zi kriteriyasi aniq ko'rinadi. Shunga qarab yana nimalarni o'rganish kerakligini ko'radi. Undan tashqari buni to'g'rilash o'zi oson emas, lekin eng muhimi ishonarli. Eng muhim joyi shu ishonarli, boshqalar ham ishonadi shunga.
Yeah, there are three things that everyone agrees on. So firstly, experts believe that it is very important to have rubrics in order to assess correctly and in order to assess fairly. Second one, rubrics show not only what the student knows, but also students' learning targets and criteria. And thirdly, they are very hard to design.
Yana bu yerda ekspert o'zi ham rozi bo'lishi kerak bo'ladi, chunki qilinayotgan berilayotgan baho masalan o'sha baholanadigan insonni qaysi tomonga qarab rivojlanayotganligini ko'rsatadi. Qanchalik shu talab qilinayotgan darajada rivojlanayotganligi. Ikkinchisi o'sha o'rganayotgan how to say that targets
What they need to learn.
Yes, Rohatoy and Oybek, you are welcome to help here. And undan tashqari o'sha talab qilingan darajaga tushish uchun qilingan harakatni ko'rsata oladi. To'g'rimi?
And next one, please. Next slide.
Rahmat Berdiyev va rahmat qo'shilganingizga. Faqat tovushingizni o'chirib qo'ysangiz xursand bo'lamiz.
All right. So why do we need to use a rubric to assess students? Well, firstly, as teachers, we understand that our students grow, their language growth or any skills that they have been learning. So we need to see where they are in this learning. Secondly, it also shows what criteria students are checked on. What is that students are checked? For example, well, if I smile in your class, will you give me 5? Or if I dance in your class, will you give me 5? How do I know what for will I receive 5? Third, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but somebody is disturbing us by the live. Can we ask to switch on off the unmute yourself, please? Okay, can I stop you here, and then it is very interesting information if we will translate it to the teachers. I'm getting the command here. They are very grateful that we are translating it. Okay. O'qituvchi dars berish jarayonida o'quvchini tilni, masalan biz til o'qituvchilar bo'lganligimiz uchun bizlar hozir til haqida gapiramiz. Tildan qanchalik o'sgan yoki o'smaganligi, o'rganyapti, o'rganmayotganligini ko'rsatadigan narsa bu rubrika. O'sha tablitsalar, rubrics degan tablitsalarimiz. Undan tashqari talabangiz darajasini ko'rsatadi. Masalan, bugun bu 4-darajada edi, ertaga 6-darajaga chiqibdi. O'sha bitta 5 ta tashlab oldiga chiqdi, malades. Yoki pastga tushib ketdi. Shu narsa ko'rsatib turadi.
Just a minute, Rohatoy.
Yes.
A lot of people cannot enter join us.
Karim boy, odamlar kirolmayapti ekan.
Karim boyda.
Will you resend the link, please? Will you resend the link?
Admin Karim boyda. Demak, baholash mezonlari juda ham muhim hisoblanar ekan. O'qituvchi sifatida talabalarimizni o'sishini baholash mezonlari orqali bilar ekanmiz. Bu bizga o'sha har bitta mezonimiz talabalarimizga qanchalik mos tushganligini, qaysi birida ekanligini, qaysi darajada ekanligini ko'rsatadi. Qay darajada o'sish borligini.
Excuse me, guys. Excuse me, Oybek, would you please allow the people to come? Admin, they say that not only the Karamboy is your...
Whoever is trying to join, I am admitting.
Okay. So, Jaminapa, we have quitted this question, okay?
Will you resend the link, please, to Usti chat or somewhere?
I have resent it to you individually in the private message.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can send
deskriptorlar aynan ko'rsatishi kerak. Nima kriteriyaga asosan biz baholayapmiz? Uni talabani kulganiga qarabmi yoki raqsga tushib berganiga qarabmi? Aynan aytilishi kerak o'sha kriteriya.
Rahmat. Men esimda bor, men kulib berganimga o'qituvchi nima terjayasan deb 2 qo'ygan darsda.
So you have to understand the criteria. And next one, rubrics also show the level of students, what level students are at. So for example, if your student wants to get 7 on the IELTS scale, let's say, if you don't have the rubrics and if you can't use the rubrics, how are you going to tell him what he is now? 4, 3, 5. And a good rubric can be used repeatedly, many times over and over again. Yeah, please, Rohata. Or anyone.
Demak, baholash mezonlari yana talabalarimizni qay darajada turganligini yoki o'sganliklarini ko'rsatiladi. Baholash mezonlari yaxshi yaratilgan bo'lsa, o'sha mezonlar qayta va qayta bitta maqsadda ishlatilishi mumkin ekan yoki adaptation bo'lishi, o'zgartirish ham kiritish mumkin ekan. Bu fandan boshqa fanga o'tganda.
To'ppa-to'g'ri.
Next slide, please. Okay, so we have 2 types of rubrics. One is holistic and the other is analytic. So what are they? When you assess students' work as a whole, that's holistic. For example, you say, if you give a task, you say, oh, good, yes, pass, or fail, or you say satisfactory, or you say 5, and you don't explain 1 for what, 2 for what, 3 for what, 4 for what, or how did this 5 come from? So that's holistic. But if there are different criteria and each criterion gets a mark, then it's analytic. So I firstly want them to understand the difference.
Demak, baholash mezonlarining 2 ta turi mavjud ekan. Birinchisi holistik, umumlashtiruvchi baholash. Bu yerda bittagina baholash mezoni bo'ladi, umumiy baho qo'yiladi, bittagina ball tarzida yoki raqam point tarzida. Va detalni tushuntirib bermaydi. Masalan, sani bahong 5 deydi. Nima sababdan 5 oldimman, kriteriyalar aytilmagan bo'ladi. Analitikda esa u baholash mezoni kriteriyalarga aynan aniq tiniq qilib bo'lingan bo'ladi va qay sababdan mana shu 5 ball nima sababdan qo'yilgan, 4 ball nima sababdan qo'yilgan aniqlashtirib aytib berilgan bo'ladi.
One minus of holistic is that it doesn't give detailed feedback. Students don't know why they receive 5. What was it for grammar, for example? Was it for vocabulary? What was it for? They don't understand what each of them has. For example, perhaps their grammar is 3 and their, like, let's say their Lexis is 4. But when you give holistic, you say 5 or 4 or 3. And you don't say you don't go according to each criterion. You don't give the points according to each criterion. Whereas in analytic, it is true that it's more time consuming to create. It takes a lot of time, but it provides more detailed feedback.
Demak, umumlashtiruvchi baholash mezoni bittagina ball bilan aytib qo'yiladi va talaba tushunmasa bilan bahoni olganiga. Lekin analitik testda deskriptorlar aniq va tiniq ko'rsatgan bo'ladi. Har bitta mezon ochiq tasvirlab beradi, nima sababdan bu ballni olayotganini va talaba tushunadi. O'sha yozilgan deskriptorlar orqali aynan nima sababdan o'sha 5 yoki 4 ballni olayotganini, xoh u grammatika bo'lsin, xoh fonetika bo'lsin, xoh boshqa fan bo'lsin. Lekin bu aynan bu baholash mezonini yaratish vaqt talab qiladi va miyani ishlatish kerak buning uchun, ammo yaxshi va umumli bajarilgan baholash mezoni qayta va qayta ishlatilsa bo'ladi u yog'iga. Davomiy.
Yeah, and it can be used not only for languages, it can be used for anything. For example, you made, let's say you cooked plov, you brought it, somebody says, oh, good, yes, good plov, that's it. Nothing else. So not a lot of detailed feedback, all right? Or somebody else brings and says, oh, yeah, not bad, So therefore, why it is good and why it is bad. What are the elements? What are the criteria? What each criteria gets? What should it be like?
Demak, kriteriyalarni ko'rib chiqamiz. Qanaqa bo'lishi kerak baholash mezonlari, qanaqa tuzilishi kerak keyingi slaydlarda.
Can we move on, please? Thank you. This is IELTS speaking rubric. So almost all of the proficiency examinations that I know are all analytic. Proficiency examinations, speaking and writing rubric are analytic. Okay, so you can see here from 0 to 9. So 0 to 9, these are the points, the band. And you can also see 4 different criteria that IELTS assesses its candidate within speaking examination.
Demak, dunyodagi barcha tilni baholash mezonlarini barchasi analitik hisoblanadi va ular ma'lum bir kriteriyalarga asosan bo'linib, ballar berilgan holatda tasvirlanadi. Nimaga aynan o'sha ball berilganligi. Ko'rib turganingiz ekrandagi IELTS imtihonini public tegishli bo'lgan baholash mezoni.
Why can't it be holistic? For instance, your fluency and coherence can be 6, your lexical resource can be 7, your grammar range and accuracy can be 7, and your pronunciation can be 6. So you see, it doesn't only score only on according to one band score. So if I give you holistic, I would say 6, not bad, but because there are different criteria, they may score on different criteria. So, and as a result, if you see here, we don't have 0 point. 0.5 comes from scoring different criteria. All right. So for example, some of your students may say they took 6.5, 5.5. Where does 0.5 come from? Because they scored on one of these criteria higher than on others. Yes, please.
Demak, quyida ko'rib turganinglar IELTS speaking baholash mezonidan ko'rinib turibdiki, har xil baholash ballari har bitta alohida kriteriyaga tegishli hisoblanadi va deylik talabalaring 5,5 oldi. U 5,5 qayerdan keladi? Ba'zi bir kriteriyalardan, masalan, uni so'z boyligi 6 bo'lishi mumkin, grammatikasi esa 5 bo'lishi mumkin va xuddi shunaqa talaffuzi va nutqni ravonligi 5-6 qilib baholanib, keyin umumlashtirib 5,5 o'shandan kelib chiqadi. Hech kim 0 ola olmaydi, chunki 0 oladigan talabgor faqat testda qatnashmagan talabgor bo'ladi. 0,5 olishi mumkin. Bunda o'sha kriteriya bitta ikkita gapirib, lexical resource'ini ko'rsata olmagan yoki grammatikasini ko'rsata olmagan beginnerlar olishi mumkin.
Still, that's usually one. I have never heard of 0.5. If the person came, it's 1. Thank you. Yes. Next one, please. Okay. Yes. Why is it important to have speaking rubrics? Creating and using rubrics will help teachers not to focus on what they need to teach, but to focus on what their students need to learn. They should concentrate on what their students need to learn. Yes, I want them to go.
Baholash mezonini yaratish bu o'qituvchilarga talabalar nimani o'qitish kerakligini emas, balkim talabalar nimani o'rganish kerakligini aniq va tiniq yoritib beradi.
That's very important. Because sometimes teachers believe that they can pass this. Oh, you will have it in the future. You will need it in the future. Not now, but you will need it one day. And usually students ask what? Will I need it for the test? Will I need it to use? Will I need it? So therefore, our rubric tells us what we have to teach them. Okay? Like, I mean, not what the teacher wants to teach, but what they need to learn.
Demak, ba'zan talabalar so'rashi mumkin ekan, siz o'qitayotgan narsani menga o'zi yordami tegadimi, bu qachon ishlata olaman deb. Aynan o'sha baholash mezonlarini siz talabalarga ko'rsatsangizgina ular tushunishadi. Demak, 5 ball olish uchun mana bunaqa narsalarni qilish kerak ekan. 4 ball olish uchun mana bunaqa narsalarni qilish kerak ekan. Mana bu testdan o'tish uchun mana shunaqa mani performansim bo'lishi kerak ekan deb aniq va tiniq tushunishadi.
And teachers usually concentrate on content, but the rubrics tells them not to concentrate on the content, but also the result, outcomes.
Demak, ko'pincha o'qituvchilar o'qitilayotgan fanni, mazmunini o'rgatishga harakat qilishadi, lekin baholash mezonlari, kriterialari esa talabalar nimani bilishi kerakligiga qaratilgan va talabalarga bu ko'proq qo'l keladi fanni yaxshi o'zlashtirishda.
Yeah, and exercises are not important if they do not focus on the criteria. So you can give any kinds of exercises, any kinds of tasks, but each task should be according to or should be in the long run covering some part of criteria.
Demak, o'qituvchi sifatida biz har xil mashqlardan foydalanishimiz mumkin, lekin o'sha mashqlarimizning mazmuni, holati bizni berayotgan baholash mezonimiz bilan mos kelishi kerak ekan. Bo'lmasa talaba o'sha belgilangan fandan yaxshi o'zlashtira olmaydi rubriklar bo'yicha.
Thank you. Next one, please. Okay. Yes. It's very important to make speaking or writing rubrics available for students or any other rubrics that you are assessing them on. All right? Because it's important so that they would know what they can score, to what they can, what level they can achieve, and to see what that level they want to achieve is. Their desired score, what their desired score is, and how to go to that desired score.
Demak, o'quvchilarimizga biz baholash mezonlarini oldindan berib qo'yishimiz kerak ekan, ular bilishi kerak ekan, qay tarzda men baholanaman, nima qilsam o'sha bahom tepaga ko'tariladi deb bilishlari uchun performance levelini va o'zini o'sish darajasini bilishlari uchun muhim sanalar ekan. O'quvchilarga yoki talabgorlarga test topshirayotgan rubriklarda nima yozilgan va qay darajada o'zini performansini baholashni bilish juda ham muhim sanalar ekan.
Next one, please. All right. Yes. So what do we do? Rubrics for different proficiency levels should have different descriptors. For example, if you are having a test for B2 and for C1, their rubric should be different for each criterion. Their descriptors should be different for each criterion. Their marking is the same, but then their criteria, their descriptors of the criterion should be different.
Demak, har bitta test uchun baholash mezonida har bitta daraja testi uchun, masalan B2 yoki C1 bo'ladimi, u baholar bir xil bo'lgani bilan bir xil bo'lsa bo'ladi, ammo har bitta kriteriyasidagi ta'rif har xil bo'lishi kerak rasmi.
Yes. So proficiency tests are neither valid, you can't take this proficiency test, nor reliable, they are not accountable if performance descriptors are not different from each other for different levels. If it's B1 and B2 and they have the same performance, they have the same descriptors, different levels, the same descriptors, then this test is not good. Then this assessment and rubric is not good as well.
Demak, deylik B2 yoki C1 darajadagi testlarda biz baholash mezonlariga ko'z yugurtiradigan bo'lsak, baholash mezonlaridagi ta'riflar B2 va C1 ga aynan bir xil to'g'ri keladigan bo'lsa, bu testlarga demak ishonchlilik yo'qoladi.
So, an assessment specialist should receive the right amount of training in order to be able to use this rubrics.
Demak, baholovchi, imtihon oluvchi ekzamenerlar maxsus bir malaka oshirish kurslaridan, treninglardan o'tish kerak bo'ladi, baholash uchun talabgorlarni. Baholash mezonlari asosida.
Yeah, to be able to apply it accurately. Next one.
To'g'ri baholash uchun.
Next one, please. Good. So, yeah, I don't need, this is not a, I'm not criticizing anyone or anything here. I'm making it sure that I'm not criticizing, but look, this was in November 2017. So can you see B2, the first one, and C2, the first criterion in B1, the first criterion in C2, and their descriptors.
E'tibor bersanglar, agar mana sıfır imtihonlarida B2 va C1 baholash mezonlari ko'rsatilgan, e'tibor beringlar birinchi kriteriyaga, vazifaning bajarilganligi. B2da va C1da va o'qinglar. Ular bir xilmi yoki har xilmi? Chatda yozishinglar mumkin. Yoki gapirsanglar bo'ladi.
First one, C1, first one. Can you tell me if they are the same or not the same?
Ular bir xilmi yoki har xilmi?
Bir xil.
So, do you think this rubric is valid and reliable?
They are the same, and we think that they are not reliable and valid.
Yes, thank you very
Because
much.
requirement is the same.
But that was in 2017.
Yes, and
Okay.
the level
Next
is
rubric.
different.
Next one, please. Next slide, please. All right. So now, right now, I have searched it 9/02/2022. So they only have, State Testing Center only have, State Testing Center and NSFLA, both of these agencies have this speaking rubric for B2 only. There is no, and writing rubrics are missing. So what I want, I'm not criticizing again, I'm just giving certain recommendations. Next slide, please. My recommendation.
Davlat test markazini veb-saytida biz ko'rishimiz mumkin, faqat bittagina baholash mezon kriteriyatlari berilgan B2 uchun.
And this one is perfect, beautifully designed.
Juda ham yaxshi shakllantirilgan baholash mezoni, ammo biz xohlardikki B1 va C1nikini ham qo'shib qo'yishsa ishonchlilik uchun.
Yes, next slide. Yes, these are recommendations to State Testing Center, if there are any guys out there. So please work out individual criteria for different language proficiency levels for speaking. And secondly, you have to compose separate rubrics for speaking and writing. Writing, I did not see any. I did not see any. If there is a rubric for writing, or there are rubrics for different levels of writing, please make them available on your website so that everybody can see, because it is very essential for reliability. Please.
Demak, davlat test markaziga beradigan tavsiyalarimiz shu bo'lardiki, har bitta alohida daraja uchun speaking kriteriyalarni ishlab chiqish. Men qo'shimcha qilib o'taman, o'zim ham part-time examiner bo'lib ishlayman davlat test markazida. Speaking bo'yicha kriteriyalar alohida qilib tuzilgan va veb-saytga joylashtirilganmi yo'qmi bilmayman, lekin ekzamenerlar uchun bu mavjud. Va speaking va writingni biz o'sha ekzamenerlar sifatida kriteriyalarga asosan treninglardan o'tib, shular asosida biz baholaymiz va assessment gridni tavsiya beryaptilar. Available ommaga available bo'lishini veb-saytda qo'yib qo'yishni tavsiya qilib beryaptilar, chunki bu testga bo'lgan ishonchlilikni oshiradi. Agar buni ommadan yashirib qo'ysak, ishonchlilik уже kamayadi.
And secondly, we said that rubrics are essential for us to understand where we are and how we want to get the desired score. Remember? We talked about that. So it's very important to make them available for public.
Demak, ommaga buni yana oshkora qilib, namoyon qilib, veb-saytga qo'yib qo'yish shuni anglatadiki, aynan o'sha sifr imtihon topshiruvchilar uchun bu juda ham qulay hisoblanadi, chunki talabgor biladi aynan nima talab qilinyapti mendan. C1 olishim uchun qanday qilib, qaysi kriteriyalar bo'yicha tayyorlanishim kerak yoki B2 olishim uchun writingda nimalarga e'tibor berishim kerak, speakingda nimalarga e'tibor berishim kerak va shu bo'yicha tayyorlanib o'zini xohlagan darajasini olgan bo'lardi.
Next slide, please. Yes. So how to develop a rubric, how to write a rubric. So rubrics are designed backward. First rubrics, then performance. You don't make it this way. Firstly, performance and or work or writing, and then now let's think about rubric. Never. Firstly, rubric, then the work.
Birinchi qilinadigan ishimiz baholash mezonini biz tuzib chiqishimiz kerak ekan. Keyin biz talabalardan yoki talabgorlardan talab qilishimiz kerak ekan. Mana shunaqa sen o'zingni tutishing kerak, mana shu darajaga yetish uchun.
So we have to decide on the criteria for performance to be assessed, what criteria we will pick up. And thirdly, we have to write definitions and make a list of descriptors, and they have to be different from each other. We talked about it. We have to make descriptors different from each other, showing different levels. And also, what we have to do is we have to put certain grading, like it can be numbers or it can be, different wording like advanced, average, weak, poor, whatever you want to say, but there should be measurement.
Demak, har bitta kriteriya, har bitta mezon talabgorni qay darajada o'sishini ko'rsatuvchi alohida tasniflar bilan, ta'riflar bilan belgilanishi kerak ekan. Va har bitta ball uchun biz o'sha tasnifni yoki ta'rifni yuqori, o'rtacha yoki ojiz taraflarni ko'rsatgan holda yozuv bilan yokida raqamlar bilan, ballar bilan belgilashimiz mumkin ekan.
And what we have to do is anytime if we are not sure that our rubric is strong, we have to check and we have to change it, adapt it if we're not sure. So sometimes when we, for example, cannot assess someone's performance, perhaps it's not the rubric, but it's our, let's say, instructions could be weak. We can give wrong instructions, and as a result, we can't assess the work.
Ba'zan baholash mezonlari ish bermay qolsa, siz talabgorni yoki o'quvchilaringizni yaxshi baholamay qolsangiz, balkim biz yana orqaga qaytib, qay tarzda men yo'riqnoma berdim talabalarimga, balkim yo'riqnomani noto'g'ri bergandirman deb ham o'ylab ko'rishimiz kerak ekan. Demak, har bitta mashqqa yoki mashg'ulotga yoki testga rubrik tuzishdan oldin o'sha mashqni qay darajada siz talabalarga yetkazasiz, ta'rifini, instruksiya to'g'ri berilsa, baholash mezoni ham yaxshi ishlaydi.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yes, next one, please. Okay, so here is revision. I want you to write in the chat. So true or false. So let's go through this. Rubrics focus mostly on teaching than learning. Rubrics are easy to design. We can assess students' speaking skills without rubrics. We should have the same criteria for all proficiency levels. Most proficiency tests use holistic rubrics to assess speaking. Inter-rater reliability is, okay, I will explain it. Inter-rater reliability is rubrics can be used by 2 or more raters, and if they come up with the same result, then it means the rubric works, because, and then it also means that raters are trained enough. All right. And the last one.
Bitta ko'rib chiqaylik. Rubriklar bo'yicha hozir true false statementni.
Yeah, the first
gapimiz. Rubriklar ko'pincha o'qitishga maxsuslashtirilgan o'rganishga qaraganda. Nima deb o'ylaysizlar? True yoki false? Chatga yozinglar. Baholash mezonlari asosan o'qitish uchun tuziladi, o'rganish uchun emas.
All right. So yeah, because I don't want to make it, long. So that's false, because we talked about learning. Okay. So they concentrate on learning more than teaching. And Rohatoy, perhaps you think that they can send it later on?
Everyone is saying in the chat false. Yeah.
Okay,
Some of them are thinking it's true.
Okay, let me tell you one secret. All of these are false. All of these are false. Okay. I want you to.
Not order.
Yes, because we talked about it. If you said true, then you have to go through all the PPT from the beginning. Okay. Yes. Next page, please.
Hop, demak, baholash mezonlarini yaratish oson deb turibdi, bu xato. Talabalarimizni gapirish malakalarini biz mezonsiz ham baholay olamiz deb turibdi, bu ham xato. Hamma kriteriyalarni bir xil qilib tuzish bu hamma level uchun xos deb turibdi, bu ham xato. Ko'pchilik testlar holistic qilib tuzilgan, umumlashtirib speakingga, bu ham xato. Inter-rater reliability bu degani speakingni va writingni ikkita examiner tekshiradi va ular alohida bir-biri bilan bilmagan holda bahoni qo'yishadi va o'sha qo'ygan bahosi aynan bir-biriga to'g'ri keladimi, o'sha narsa inter-rater reliability deyiladi va bu narsa juda ham muhim hisoblanadi testlarni olganda, baholash mezonlarida. Va oxirgisi talabalarga, o'quvchilarga berish kerak emas rubriklar baholash deyilgan, bu ham xato. Demak, hammasini javobi xato.
Here, if I can join you colleagues, I would like to pay attention for the word of reliability.
Yes, please.
Hurmatli kollegalar, reliability degan so'zga alohida e'tibor berishlaringizni so'rayman, chunki bu ham UNESCOning eng katta standartlaridan bittasi. Har doim siz qilayotgan ishingizda shuni o'zingizga baho berishingiz kerak. O'qituvchi o'ziga baho berish kerak. Tanlangan materialingiz ham to'g'ri keladimi, to'g'ri kelmaydimi? Boyagidek baliqqa beryapsizmi, maymunga beryapsizmi deganda. Kechirasizlar, endi metafora ishlayotganimiz uchun bu taxminan shunaqa. Bu juda ham muhim narsalar, chunki inter-rater reliability bu alohida har bittasi aslida alohida trening bo'ladigan narsalar, lekin vaqtimiz qisqa bo'lganligi uchun sizlarga faqat standart tanishtirayotganligimiz uchun bunday o'tib ketyapmiz. Nasib bo'lsa, Xudo xolasa, har bitta punkt bo'yicha alohida trening qilamiz. Rahmat.
Next one, please. Next one. Next slide, please. So how do you assess your students' performance? Do you cut this way? Do you shape their assessment? Do you shape their mind according to yourself? Or like this guy? For example, when his skills are asked, he says, "Give me a test." All right. So yeah, next one, please. It's just, if
Demak, qanaqa qilib biz baholaymiz talabalarimizni? Mana shunaqa hammasini bir xil mezon bilan kesib ketamizmi? Yoki baholash mezonlariga xos bo'lgan holda baholaymizmi? Yoki har bitta fandan bir xil kriteriya tuzib olib, hamma fanni bir xil qilib baholaymizmi?
Shu yerda prezidentimiz aytganda, menga diplomlaringiz kerak emas, menga malakalaringiz kerak deyaptilar. Mana sizlarga isboti. Chunki bir xil test har doim odamlarni kerakli darajaga olib kirmaydi.
Yeah, thank you.
Keyingi
Next one.
haftadagi webinarda aynan mana shu narsaga men ham to'xtalib o'taman. Creativity, 21st century skills mavzusida.
Da, nasib bo'lsa, xudo xolasa zo'r bo'ladi u ham.
Next one.
Oh, eng asosiy narsaga keldik.
Please. Yes, this is UNESCO standards, core standards, core professional standards. You understand it. So there are 10 standards. We have been talking about these standards from the beginning of this series of talks or seminars. So it's standards of teachers, okay, unilaterally or worldwide adopted standards of teachers. So these standards can also be put into rubrics. I can take one of the standards and assess can also be put into rubrics.
Извините, sorry, something is wrong. Is going. Can I ask you to stop? Oybek, what's going on? Oybek.
Yes, I'm trying to find that person and mute it.
Yes, please. Yes, now it's okay. Farhad, please go on.
Yeah, so you can create rubrics from each of them and assess teachers, how professional they are. So because I do assessment, I created rubric on the 7th one about assessment. Next slide, please. Or you can speak firstly, you can translate it, and then next slide. Firuzopa?
No, I will rely on Rohatoy. I will add.
All right,
Rohatoy,
Rohatoy.
ready?
Demak, o'qituvchilarni standartlari bo'yicha UNESCO'ni 10 ta kriteriyadan ko'proq 7-ga e'tibor berganlar bu webinarda va o'sha assessment bo'yicha xohlasak har bitta o'qituvchi har bitta alohida kriteriyaga, har bitta alohida standartga baholash mezonini tuza oladi. Bugungi darsdan keyin, webinardan keyin.
Endi tasavvur qilinglar, sizlar malaka oshirish institutidaman deb o'zlaringizda. Shuning uchun mana bu 10 ta kriteriya yoki inglizchasida 10 ta standart deyapti. Bizanikilar standart deganda bitta whole standard, ko'ziga bitta hujjat sifatida qarashadi. 10 ta modda deydi. 10 ta modda deysizlarmi, 10 ta kriteriya deysizlarmi? Lekin shu 10 ta modda 3 ta asosiy domain deydi. 3 ta yo'nalish bo'yicha ketyapti. Shunda uchinchisi ikkinchi domain, ya'ni o'qituvchini praktik qismini biz baholaydigan bo'lsak agar, shunga e'tibor berish kerak bo'ladi. Siz baholash markazini ochsangiz, nasib bo'lsa Usti mahorat bilan shunaqa baholash markazini ochib, sizlarga reliable certificate berish niyatida. Bu faqat formal ta'lim tizimida emas, non formal ta'lim tizimida ham ishlatish mumkin bo'lgan mexanizmni biz joriy qilyapmiz, chunki bu yangi ta'lim to'g'risidagi qonunda aytilgan. Endi mana shunga e'tibor berasizlar hozir, chunki baholashdagi shu rubrikni o'zlaringiz ham yaratishlaringiz mumkin demoqchi Farhodjon.
Next slide, please. Yes.
Masalan, yeah.
This is UNESCO Professional Teaching Standard 7. So analysis learning. What I did is I worked out 5 different criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put it into 3 different levels. So 5 different, I want you to go through firstly, yes, vertically and then horizontally. Okay, I hope you can see. So 5 different criteria and 3 different levels. And how you design it? I firstly designed for advanced, then for the weak one, and I tried to make the average one. Okay, you can put any of those standards into the rubric. So let's just look at the first criterion. I'm sorry. The first one.
Can we translate it, please?
Yes,
Rohatoy, could you?
Demak, UNESCO professional o'qitish standartlarida 7-chi kriteriyani hozir olib, rubrik baholash mezoni tuzdilar Farhod aka va bunda e'tibor berdilar 5 ta kriteriyaga va uchta darajaga bo'ldilar. Baholash mezonini yaratishda biz o'sha umumiy standartdan umumiy gapni olib, eng yuqori darajadan boshlashimiz kerak va keyin eng oxiriga o'tishimiz kerak va o'rtadagisi o'shandan qiyoslab qilinadi o'rtadagisi.
Agar siz 5 qo'ymoqchi bo'lsangiz, talabalaringizga hammasiga 3 qo'yib chiqdingizda, keyin xohlasangiz 3 ga minus 2 ga tushirishingiz mumkin. Buyuk degani yoki plus qo'shib 4 yoki 5 ga chiqarishingiz mumkin demoqchi-da. Yuqori, o'rtacha va juda ham bo'sh degan. Marhamat.
This is for teachers, not students.
Demak, o'qituvchilar uchun assessment method
The first one.
baholash metodlarini yaxshi bilgan o'qituvchi, eng yuqori malakali o'qituvchi deb kimni ayta olar ekanmiz? Har xil darajadagi baholash mezonlarini biladigan, formal, noformal, yozma tarzda, og'zaki tarzda, formativ baholash, summativ baholashni biladigan o'qituvchi, demak, yuqori malakali o'qituvchi sanalar ekan. Qaysi o'qituvchi ojiz sanalar ekan? Faqat bitta yoki ikkita baholash metodini mana bular orasidan biladigan va boshqa metodlarni umuman farqiga bormaydigan yoki sayoz biladigan o'qituvchini biz ojiz deb sanar ekanmiz baholash kriteriylari bo'yicha.
Yeah, and because I have been now looking through the chat, and most of the teachers wrote formal, informal, summative, and formative. So most of them. There are other assessments as well. So,
Excuse me, Farhajan. Would you please wait until the voice will be?
Yes, it's muted.
Yes, as we are recording, and then later with performance this recording to the teachers, we have to be very, very careful about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that CRT and NRT, you can find out criterion reference testing and norm reference testing. Or teaching is. So, I'm not going through this. I just explained that anything can be put on any work, any performance, any standard can be put on rubric, and teachers can also be evaluated by creating this rubric.
Very good rubric.
Hozir bitta gapirib o'tirmayman, har bitta kriteriyani, lekin tushuntirmoqchi bo'lgan narsam shuki, har bitta narsa, har bitta fan, har bitta mashq xuddi shu holatda qo'yib chiqilishi mumkin, kriteriyalarga bo'lib va uni albatta biz eng yuqori darajadan boshlab, eng oxiri, keyin o'rtachalarini shundan chiqarib olishimiz mumkin ekan. Har bitta o'qituvchi yarata oladi.
I'll show you this in a moment. Next slide, please.
Hozir ko'rsatamiz.
Yes. Who is good at apple pie cooking?
Very good question.
Olmali pirogni yaxshi pishira oladi.
I am good on eating, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you could be very, very good assessor then.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Think about it. Just think about it. We are professionals, but how professionally we understand our standards? How professionally, if we are a cook or a baker, how professionally can we bake, apple pie? So let's see. Yes, next slide, please.
Demak, o'qituvchi sifatida yoki mana o'zimizni biron bir oshpaz sifatida qo'yib ko'raylik. Qay tarzda biz o'sha pishirilgan oshni yoki pishirilgan narsani biz baholay olamiz? Nimalarga e'tibor berishimiz kerak? Qani keyingi slaydda ko'ramiz.
Okay.
All right. Yes. So that's how to bake a classical apple pie. So you are given assignment, you are given instructions. Remember, we were talking that instructions are very important, because without instructions, you can't then assess them on the rubric. So instructions are very important. It's a part of it, because if students, teachers, anyone do not know the instructions, they can go astray.
Demak, baholash mezonlaridan oldin muhim bo'lgan narsa bu instruksiyani yaxshi tushuntirib berish. Bu instruksiyasiz to'g'ri tuzilgan instruksiyasiz talabgorlar yoki o'quvchilar hech qanaqa narsa qila olmaydi sizni baholash mezonidagi talablarni bajarish uchun.
So yeah, you can read it later on if colleagues upload it into the system or anywhere. So yes, this is practically how to make a classical apple pie. So everything is written. I also found some types, sorts in Uzbek, Baravinka, and something else, Granny Smith we call it. So yeah, next slide please.
Demak, olmali pirog pishirish uchun hozir instruksiya berilgan bu yerda, qay tarzda pishirish kerak, nimalarga e'tibor berish kerakligi tushuntirilgan oldin.
And as a result, we have for this. So let's just take one of it. For example, filling the taste. So what I did is I put it into five different performance criteria, and I also put it into 3 different levels. For example, if your pie is exceptional quality, then you have to do this. If your pie is a poor quality, then it should look like this. All right. So let's okay.
Baholash mezonlari bo'yicha o'sha olmali pirogni baholash mezonlari hozir yozilgan. Mana juda ham zo'r yoki yaxshi pishirilmagan tarzda men tuzib chiqqan deyaptilar. Va har bitta kriteriyaning yozganlar. Mazasi qanaqa, uni ko'rinishi qanaqa umuman va
texture, the dough texture.
Xamiri nimadan qirilgan, qisillama bo'lib pishganmi, qizarib pishganmi, o'shalarga e'tibor bergan holda tuzib chiqqanlar va oxirida instruksiyalarga qanday e'tibor berganlar, qanday holda pishirganlar.
Ko'rsatmalarga rioya etish deydi buni, chunki agar ko'rsatmalarga rioya etmasa bu yana baholash jarayonida juda ham qattiq ta'sir qiladi.
So what I would like to say, we are all teachers. We can be assessed. We can assess. The only thing that we have to understand is rubric is very important. We ourselves as a teacher, what we can do is if we learn what the rubric is and how to apply, we will never be stressed about our performance. As a teacher, if we teach our students or tell them what we're assessing them on, they will not be, stressed. We will avoid stressful situations. Okay, it's very important to have the right attitude to this rubrics and having the rubric while evaluating, while learning and teaching. Please.
Demak, baholovchi sifatida biz aynan o'sha narsalarga e'tibor berishimiz muhim ekan. Qay darajada instruksiyalarga rioya qilgan talabgor va qay darajada bizni baholash mezonimizdagi deskriptorlarga, ta'riflarga, tasniflarga to'g'ri keladi.
Because if you don't give the rubrics, they will not know what they should do. They will guess it out. They will guess it out, try to guess out, and it gives a lot of, worrying and troublesome situations.
Agar biz talabgorlarga yoki o'quvchilarimizga baholash mezonlarini bermasak, ular o'zlaricha o'sha mashqni bajarib, har kim o'zi o'ylagancha qilib, bizni o'qituvchilarga muammo tug'diradi, to'g'ri tarzda baholay olmaymiz.
And as teachers, we also want to be assessed. We also want to be assessed correctly, accurately, so that we will not be stressed.
o'qituvchi sifatida biz ham to'g'ri holatda baholanishni xohlaymiz. Muammolarga duch kelmaslik uchun, siqilmaslik
Yeah,
uchun.
let's watch a professional, cook assessing other cooks.
Keling video
I
tomosha
hope everybody
qilamiz.
knows more than me.
Olmali pirog pishirilganni baholovchi examiner.
Christine has the last pie to be tasted before the judges decide who will be sent home.
How are you, Christine?
I'm all right, Chef.
Okay, first of all, I've never seen you that flustered. And then, with barely 18 minutes to go, you still were not in the oven with your apple pie. What the hell is going on?
Honestly, Chef, there's just no excuse. I just was flustered and I'm not experienced with making pie at all, so there's just really no excuse.
What do you think this pie looks like?
I think it probably looks like a pile of rubbish.
Visually, it looks stunning. It's got a nice crisp, dark brown colour on the edge.
Thank you, Chef.
The sugar has almost glazed the pastry, and it looks as delicious as Frank's. So stop doubting yourself. Be bold,
Yes, Chef.
okay? Pie underneath, the pastry looks cooked. Can you hear that on top?
Yes, Chef.
What does that sound like to you?
It sounds good and crusty.
Good and crusty. So, stop feeling upset with yourself. Okay? You've got to start believing yourself more. Okay? Come on. Come on. Right. Hear that?
Yes, Chef.
There's not a soggy patch on there. That's all the way round. Okay? Can you hear that? On the balcony you can hear that, right?
Yes, Chef.
And it's intact. Right in front of your very eyes, I have a wedge
Oh, thank God.
of a beautiful apple pie. And the flavour?
Camila, тұрышың келмей?
Okay? Well done. Okay. Congratulations. Really good job.
Christine
Thank you very much. I hope you liked it.
I would applause to you for this film. Judayam zo'r film bo'ldi. Hozir mana ko'rsatib. Lekin haqiqatan autentik, men alohida rahmat demoqchiman Farhodjonga, chunki oddiy ingliz tilini baholash mexanizmini olib chiqsa bo'lardi Farhod. Chunki ingliz tili bo'yicha hammamiz mutaxassis biz. Lekin Farhod real autentik material olib chiqdi. Masalan, birinchidan o'qituvchi rosa instruksiyani zo'r bergan, o'quvchiga e'tibor bergan bo'lsangiz bitta o'zi baholamadi. Shuncha odam atrofida edi. Uni teoriyasi, nazariyasini bergan o'qituvchisi bor edi yonida. Unda praktikasini bergan o'qituvchisi bor edi yonida, yaqinlari bor edi. Siz kvalifikatsiyani, haqiqiy malakani berish jarayoni. Birinchidan o'qituvchi juda ham motivatsion harakat qildi, ikkinchisi o'quvchini o'zi tayyorlangan, lekin oxirigacha ham tayyorlamagan, lekin zo'r tayyorlagan. To'g'rimi? Savollar marhamat. O'qituvchilar shunaqa baholanishni istarmidinglar sizlar? Mani savolim bor sizlarga.
Savollari bor. Hozir formativ va summativ baholash mezonlari orasidagi farqni tushuntirib beringlar degan savol tushdi chatda.
Yeah, would you take it or should I be doing it?
I can help you here,
No,
and then
because,
you can have a little bit rest.
It's a new PPT actually.
Yeah, no, you can have a rest. Hozir men ozginagina Farhodga yordam berishga harakat qilaman, chunki o'qituvchilar summative bilan formative assessmentni nazariyasini juda ham yaxshi tushunib olgansizlar. Rahmat sizlarga. Qayta bu savolga kelganlaringiz uchun ham rahmat, chunki Oybek oldingi safar ham tushuntirib bergan edi. Men juda ham xursandman, chunki safar boshlanganda summative assessment qanaqa, formative assessment qanaqa degan juda ko'p savollar bo'lgan. qancha bu joriy nazorat sizlarni formative assessment, lekin joriy nazoratda o'qituvchi bilan o'quvchini rolidan bizlar bu yerda boshqacha qarab chiqishimiz kerak. Chunki o'qituvchilar bir vaqtlar necha yil asr oldin anaqa cho'p bilan o'qitgandek, hali ham bizlar cho'p bilan o'qitayotgandaymiz bolalarimizga. Chunki shunday ham o'qituvchidan qo'rqib turishadi. Bu yerda o'qituvchidan qo'rqmasdan turishi bu formative assessment. U o'qituvchi faqat baholash bilan qo'rqitmaydi. O'qituvchi har doim ham motivatsiya beradi, o'qituvchi ham qaysi mana boyagi rubriklarida qaysi darajada ekanligini aytib turadi, bolalarga motivatsiya beradi. Hech qaysi no child behind this classes bo'lishi kerak-da. Endi bironta bola chetda qolmasligi kerak. Mana shu formative assessment. Agar o'qituvchi haqiqatdan formative assessmentda zo'r ishlasa, boyagi qizchaning pirogiga o'xshagan summative assessmentda zo'r natija chiqadi. Mana shu haqiqiy pirogdek bo'ladi. O'shanda ayolsdan oladigan bo'lsalar, sizni o'qitgan o'quvchilaringiz maktabdan o'sha kamida B1 bo'lib chiqish kerak bo'lsa, demak 5,5-6 bo'lib chiqish kerak bo'ladi. Maktabdan qo'shimcha repetitorsiz. Bu degani siz yarim kun ishlaysiz, uyga borib 2 soat, 3 soat o'zingizda ishlaysiz degani. Maktabdan chiqib yana yotib olib yana repetitorlik qilasiz degani emas.
I also answered it.
Yes.
I also answered it in the chat. All right, shortly.
Everyday assessment is formative, usually in the form of exercise. Do you think that it's always exercise?
No, no.
I don't think that it's
Just
all the everyday the exercise. No. No, please
No.
explain.
Yeah, okay. Well, it can be anything. It can be everyday assessment that you do in the class in any forms. When I say exercise, I don't mean the exercise that you do physically or any other. Anything is just a form of exercise. So it can be something that you ask from a student and give the grade for, or writing, perhaps a piece of writing that you ask them to do, perhaps the piece of speaking. So it's formative. You form it. It's every day. Summative, on the other hand, is something that you give at the end of the unit or at the end of the term, at the end of certain things, just to see how they grabbed all this material. So yeah, this is like mainly, like the difference is this, but then both have formal and informal assessment.
Rahmat. Masalan, formative assessment degani Oybek.
Yes.
Rahmat. Qaranglar, formative assessment. Agar Finlandiya ta'lim tizimiga eng zo'r deyishadi. Nima uchun Finlandiya ta'limi eng zo'r? Chunki o'quvchilarni moralni tayyorlashadi. O'qituvchi. U baholash, har kun baholash qilavergandan keyin mana bugun yaqinda qaror chiqdi-ku, xalq ta'limida o'quvchilarni endi har kun baholamaydi degan. Nima uchun har kun baholash kerak emas o'quvchini? Bu formatting, xuddi xamir tayyorlagandek, asta-sekin har xil darajada xohlasangiz bog'ga borib o'qiting, xohlasangiz tog'da o'qiting. Lekin o'qituvchi har doim o'quvchi qaysi darajada ekanligini ko'rsatadigan narsa bu formative assessment. Formative degani formatting degan so'zdan olingan. Siz uyda ham masalan o'zingiz tayyorlanib turgan vaqtingizda ham biz qayta o'qituvchilarni treningi haqida gapiryapmiz, lekin agar siz professional sifatida o'smoqchi bo'lsangiz, har kuni formative assessment ustida 1 soat o'tirib ishlashingiz kerak. 1 soat. Har xil turli manbalardan o'rganishingiz kerak bo'ladi. Bizlar ham bu narsa haqida juda ko'p o'qitamiz. Ayniqsa bizlarning o'qituvchilarimizni, chunki u maktabdan bizlarni o'qituvchilarimiz shunaqa baholab katta qilishgan, bizlar ham shuni o'rganib qolganmiz, shuning uchun o'zimiz qilganimizda ham bolalarimizni har doim shunaqa o'qitamiz. Shuning uchun buni changing paradigm deydi. To есть sizni paradigmangizni o'zgartirish kerak. Har kuni baholash shart emas. Lekin siz o'qituvchi sifatida uzoqdan qarab turishingiz kerak. Bolam qanchalik mehr bilan tayyor yoki tayyor emas. Har bitta bolaga alohida individual berishingiz kerak. Keyin yana bitta aytmoqchi edim, summative assessmentni siz qilmaysiz. Summative assessmentni chetdan hayot qilish kerak. Bugungi mana qizchani pishirgan keyikini baholaydigan narsa sirlar sifatida. If you would like to add something, colleagues, you're welcome.
I already wrote that assessment for learning is formative, and assessment of learning is summative.
Yeah, in short.
Yeah, that's in short. Otherwise, That's
Yeah.
another PPT.
Exactly, it's another PPT. It's very long and very big PPT. Yes, please, Oybek, do you want to add something?
No, that was clearly said everything about and summative. Mr. Fakat and you were able to explain all details.
Yeah, very, how would say, handsome person. And please, Assessor Fakatoy, it's almost time for us to complete our workshop for today, but if you would like to add something.
No, everything was explained clearly and visually.
Yes,
as well. Yeah. There is no need to add anything, I guess.
Thank you very much for the translations and for helping me to, you know, like to go next.
We are team. We are team. We are here together to work. And then I would like to, if the teachers ask this too, if the teachers will feel the same. Hurmatli o'qituvchilar, bizlar sizlarni o'qitib o'zimizni aqlli deb ko'rsatishni xohlamaymiz. Bizlar bir narsani juda ham xohlaymiz sizlar bilan. Sizlar komandada ekanliklaringizni his qilishlaringizni juda ham xohlaymiz.
We are all learning from each other, yeah.
Of course, komandada hamma har xil darajada bo'ladi. Boya bittamiz baliq bo'lishimiz mumkin, bittamiz maymun darajada bo'lishimiz mumkin, bittamiz krokodil bo'lishimiz mumkin. Lekin hammamizni o'zimizga yarasha xos, individual talantlarimiz bor. Mana shu yerda agar bizlar o'zimiz oramizda hamkasblar sifatida shu madaniyatni kirita olsak, demak siz ham shu madaniyatni bolalarning orasiga kirita olasiz. Chunki ba'zida bolalarimiz bizlardan aqlliroq, bolalarimiz bizlardan talantliroq. Lekin buni ham tan olib kiradigan o'qituvchilar juda ham kam. Ayniqsa agar bizlar darsga har bir individual yondashuv deganda mana shu nazarda tutiladi. Har bitta bolaga rahmat bolam, bugun sendan bir narsa o'rgatdim. Rahmat bolam, bugun men senga bir narsani menga yo'naltirding desangiz, bolangiz yana 10 barobar o'rganib, yana 110 barobar bir narsa yana ham o'rganishga shoshilib keladi. Shuning uchun iltimos o'qituvchilar, bizlar iltimos qilardik har birlaringizdan bugungi hamkasb sifatida qarashlaringizni, savollaringiz bo'lsa bemalol chatga yozishlaringiz mumkin. Yoki keyingi vebinarlarimizda ham biz sizlarni kutib qolamiz. Rahmat.
Savol berilgan Farhod aka. Darsda agar biz tepaga ketib qoldi. Bitta darsda 2 ta yoki 3 ta baho qo'ysak bo'ladimi? Har bir kriteriyaning javobi uchun?
Well, it depends on your objectives, firstly.
Yeah.
All right. If you would like to, if you have a chance to put 2 or 3 marks, I'm not sure about how you put in the register, but then if you can, then certainly, why not? Depending on what you assess and depending on what your objectives are. So you definitely, or you can, you know, make them, for example, I don't know how much weight are you going to give to each of them, but then you can, if they are equal, then you can unite them and put 1 mark.
Or they can do the self-assessment between the students themselves, right?
Certainly.
Masalan, har xil baholash mexanizmi bolalarga tegib ketmasligi uchun, sizni ustunligingizni ko'rsatmasligi uchun bolalarning o'ziga rubrik berib, bir-birini baholashga imkoniyat yaratishingiz mumkin. Bu ham bolalar o'rtasida birinchidan guruh bo'lib ishlash imkoniyatini beradi, o'zlarini sal confident his qilishadi, o'zlariga ishonch ortadi va sizni ham o'rtadagi bolalaringiz bilan yaqinlashtiradi. Bu juda muhim narsalar. Lekin har kun baholayotganda juda ham shaffof bo'lishga harakat qilishingiz kerak. Mana hozir ko'rsatilgan rubrik sifatida ishlatishingiz kerak. Rubrikka qarab baholab borsangiz, bolalar sizga ishonadi, siz ularga ishonasiz.
Assalomu alaykum.
Marhamat.
Feruza opa, yaxshimisiz? Ustoz, sizmisiz? Men Chirchiq shahridanman. Tak, men savolim hozir meni qiziqtirayotgan narsa hozir har kun baholamaslik deyapti, to'g'rimi? Endi bitta qiziqtirgan narsa bor. Hozir masalan jurnalda o'zi qonun qoida bo'yicha 35% o'quvchini baholashga haqqimiz bor. To'g'rimi? Ya'ni bu degani masalan o'sha agar guruhimizda 15 ta o'quvchi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, o'shandan 10 tasini baholashga ulguramiz masalanda. Endi masalan o'sha ketma-ketlikda, masalan jurnalga ham, o'sha kundalik komda ham masalan o'sha joyi bor, masalan hammasiga baho qo'yishga haqqimiz yo'q. Chunki agar haqqimiz bor, qachonki kontrolni oladigan bo'lsak, control work, independence work, portfolio o'shalarni olganimizda demak o'sha qo'ysak bo'ladi. Qarang, men hozir masalan o'sha narsani men boshqacha tashkil qilganman. Boshqacha tashkil qilganman-da. Masalan, control work to'g'ri. Masalan, control workni men masalan aytishadi, birinchisida diktant olamiz, ikkinchisida deydi, test olamiz deydi. Yo'q, men unaqa qilmayapman-da, men mashq bajarishga. Mashq bajarishga o'sha bolani o'sha miyasini ishlatishga. Masalan, so'zlarni o'z joyiga qo'yish yoki nuqtalar o'rnida o'sha so'zlar qolib ketadi yoki masalan bironta qoidani o'sha masalan o'sha to be fe'li bo'lsa, to be fe'li bo'ladigan bo'lsa, o'sha to be fe'li haqida ma'lumot berish. Ana o'shanaqa narsalarni qo'yyapman-da.
Men uzr so'rayman, Bekir. Birinchidan siz bizlarga qo'shilib o'zingiz fikringizni berayotganingiz uchun men alohida rahmat demoqchiman sizga. Malades. Ikkinchidan aytmoqchimanki, hozir bizlarning mavzuyimiz sal boshqacha. Mavzu sizni berayotgan savolingiz yoki amalga oshirayotgan ishingiz, hozir bizlar aytgan 10 ta kriteriy nizomda ko'rsatilgan, standartda ko'rsatilgan qaysi biriga to'g'ri keladi? Yoki bugungi mavzumiz o'sha standartlarni rubrik sifatida baholayotganingizda qaysi biriga to'g'ri keladi? Formativdami, summativdami, qaysi biriga to'g'ri keladi? Siz hozir o'zingizni metodikangiz bilan bo'lishyapsiz, bu ham juda ham yaxshi narsa, bizlar ham bir narsa o'rganyapmiz. Lekin bugungi mavzuga bog'lab biror narsa yana taklif qila olasizmi?
To'g'risini aytsam, ustoz, men bugungi hozir darsga sal kech qolib kirdim. O'shuning uchun men hozir nimani
men bir narsa iltimos qilaman sizlardan. Bizlar hozir YouTube'da, o'zini kanallarida, asosan Telegramda juda ham ko'p qo'yapmiz. Oldin yozilgan birinchi vebinarimiz, mana shu mavzuga bag'ishlangan birinchi vebinarimiz, ikkinchi vebinarimiz, bugungi vebinarimizni ham nasib bo'lsa keyingi haftada o'sha onlaynga qo'yib yuboramiz. Chunki sizlar o'sha ko'ra boshlaysizlar. O'shanda juda ham yaxshi bo'lardi. 4-chi webinar keyingi juma kuni bo'ladi. O'shanga tayyorlanib kelsalaringizda, o'shanga related yana bir o'zlaringizdan authentic material ko'rsalaringiz biz juda ham xursand bo'lamiz. Related degani o'sha standartda qaysi bir kriteriyasiga mos siz ishlayapsiz. Bizlarga juda ham qiziqarli bo'ladi. Chunki bu o'qitishlar jarayonida bizlar o'zimizga ham yana bizlar bilan birga o'sishni istayotgan ekspertlarni tanlayapmiz. Maqsadimiz o'sha chirchiqqa men masalan yetib bora olmayman, lekin siz yetib borishingiz mumkin. Tushunyapsizmi? Shu chirchiqdagi bolalar bilan siz o'stiryapsiz. U kelajak avlod ular. Men ular bilan har kun gaplashmayman, lekin siz gaplashasiz. Agar bizlar bergan nizom shu mezonlar bo'yicha ishlayap, birontasini qo'llab, keyingi 4-webinarga masalan men qo'llab ko'rdim, zo'r ishladi. Masalan, bugun taqdim qilingan rubriklarni ko'rsatish mumkin. Masalan, cake masalasi u juda ham authentic. Bizlar hech qachon to be fe'lidan chiqib, mana cake tayyorlaylikda, o'sha cake'ni tayyorlash mexanizmini baholaylik degan narsani hech qachon ingliz tili o'qituvchilar qilib ko'rmaganmiz. Balkim qilayotgandir o'qituvchilar. Ko'pchilik qila boshladi o'sha. Lekin shuni berib, davay keyin masalan baholab ko'raman. Kim pishirib keladi? Davay bir-birimiz baholaymiz desangiz, bilasizmi, unusual dars bo'ladi. Uni rekord qilib bizlarga ko'rsatsangiz, biz uni yana targ'ib qilsak, qancha o'qituvchi qiziqadi? Dek.
Tushundim.
Men o'zimni maqsad nima? Maqsad sizlarni onlayn yozilgan darslaringizda mana shunaqa authentic masalalar ko'proq o'qituvchilarga yetib borishni xohlash. Chunki o'qituvchilarning paradigmasi o'zgarmasa, bizlar qilayotgan ishlarimiz hammasi qiymati tushib ketaveradi, bolam.
Endi o'sha Chirchiq shahrini ko'proq o'sha o'qituvchilar shunaqa narsalardan baxabar bo'lish uchun.
Juda ham ko'p.
Yo'q, endi men o'zim metodist bo'lib ishlayman-da. Chirchiq shahrida metodistman, ingliz tili metodistiman. O'sha uchun ham bu Zoomda qatnashyapman, чтобы bu narsalarni ko'proq taqdim qilishni, ko'proq o'sha
bizlarda shunaqa mana hamma faytdan foydalanib, sizdan foydalanib, sizni aytgan fikringizdan foydalanib aytmoqchimanki, o'qituvchilarga kimdir bizlarga o'zini bironta shu yerdagi mezon bo'yicha bironta darsini yozib jo'natsa, bizlar unga sertifikat beramiz. Sizni portfoliyongizga bu katta qo'shimcha. QR kodli xalqaro darajadagi haqiqiy sertifikat bo'ladi. Iltimos, imенно standart o'qiylarda shunga bironta mezoniga mos ozginaga darsiz, 2 minutlik, 3 minutlik darsiz jo'natiladi. Mana hozir Farhodjon ko'rsatgandi.
Rahmat kattakon, rahmat.
Sizga ham rahmat Bek, qo'shilganingiz.
Boringizga shukr.
Aslida biz siz bilan juda ko'p ishlaymiz, chunki Ayubxon akalaringiz bugun Avloniy training instituti juda ham xohlayapti shu targ'ib qilishimizni. Nasib bo'lsa targ'ib qilamiz.
Inshaalloh.
Yana kimdadir qaysidir o'qituvchilarda qo'shimchalar bo'lsa, savollar bo'lsa, agar
I'm also
mabodo
telling them,
yes
no,
please
I'm sorry. I'm also telling them that if they have any questions left that they were not sure, they can DM us on bot, and I'll be happy to reply.
yes of course and that's why we're here that's why we see chat is working hurmatli o'qituvchilar bizlar endi tarjimon bo'lib ishlayapmiz hozir aytmoqchimanki hozir yana bironta savollar g'oyalar yoki yangi tashabbuslar uyg'onib qolsa iltimos o'z chatda yozib yuboringlar biz xursand bo'lamiz balkim bironta g'oya haqida biz o'ylamagandirmiz chunki bitta narsani man eslatib o'tay nechta xalqaro ekspert bilan ishlagan bo'lsak har bitta xalqaro ekspert aytyapti sizdan zo'r ekspert yo'q mana bu yerda misolda aytaman chirchiqda qanaqa o'qituvchisi bor qanaqa o'quvchilarni o'qitish kerak qanaqa imkoniyatlar bor biz bilmaymiz masalan men o'zim chirchiqda nechta trening qilgan bo'lsam har bitta maktabga kirib chiqqanim yo'q har bitta ta'lim muassasasiga kirib chiqqanim yo'q bilmayman man undan tashqari har bitta o'qituvchini muammosini bilmaymiz yaqinda mana Marg'ilonga borib Qo'qonda borib o'qituvchilar bilan ko'rishdik lekin judayam hali ishimiz judayam ko'pligini ko'rib keldik qisqasi judayam ko'p ishimiz bor shuning uchun har bitta tomchi siz o'zingizni rivojlanish uchun qilgan tomchingiz bu butun O'zbekistonni yoki dunyoni rivojlanishga qilgan hissangiz bo'ladi shuning uchun bemalol fikrlaringizni g'oyalaringizni yoki kichkina videolaringizni jo'natsalaringiz zamon raqamlashyapti raqamlashtirish tez odamlarga yetib boradi o'sha chekka qishloqlardagi chekka maktablardagi bolalarga ham yetib boradi mana shu yaxshi narsalarni tarqatishga o'rganaylik demoqchiman xolos rahmat man komandaga rahmat desam bo'ladimi agar shunday bo'lsa hammalarimiz bitta videoni yoqamiz bitta rasmga tushamiz hozir tarix uchun deydi-ku tarixiy shaxslar hammalari
iltimos bor edi advice
assalomu alaykum
assalomu alaykum good evening I need your advice
yes please
I mean a very bad situation because I began this from the Monday. This school hasn't got an English teacher since 18. All grades are in the same level, English level. You understand? How can I solve this problem?
It's very good request, but I have the solution for that. But it is out of this topic.
Okay,
then we will do special training for you, okay, and then including for your students as well. We can solve this problem. Believe us, because we are the team, okay. Everything will be fine, Sobrina.
Yes,
I promise.
Okay, thank you
very
much.
I will work with you personally. Yes, please. Can we switch on the videos, please? Cameras. Teachers. Thank you. And then you can unmute yourself and then big applause to the team of Farhodjan under the leadership of Farhodjan today. Would you, please? I think everybody liked it. Oh, Fargona Polytechnic Institute also with us. Great. Rahmat.
Is it okay?
Rahmat.
All right. Thank you.
Rahmat. Bizlar har bitta o'qituvchi bilan, har bitta o'quvchi bilan ishlashga tayyormiz. Yana bizlar katta oila ekanligimizni ishonishlaringizni xohlaymiz. Ya'ni mana shu oilamiz bilan har bitta o'qituvchi, ingliz tili o'qituvchilari emas, boshqa o'qituvchilarga ham yuragiga kirib borishni xohlaymiz. Chunki sizlardan zo'r ekspert yo'q. Shuni bilishlaringizni xohlayman. Chunki bironta chet ellik O'zbekiston uchun kelib yuragini berib ishlay olmaydi baribir. Chunki o'zbek bo'la olmaydi, tushunyapsizmi? Shu yurtda sizni tug'ilgan qishlog'ingizda, mahallangizda tug'ilib katta bo'lmagan. Shuning uchun sizdan zo'r ekspert yo'q. Atrofingizda esa juda ham ko'p ekspertlarni yig'ib olib kelishingiz mumkin. Bugun bizani 3-chi vebinarimiz, xalqaro standart asosida qilinayotgan vebinarimiz. Nasib bo'lsa, Xudo xolasa, biz har birlaringizni xalqaro ekspert darajasiga ko'tarishni xohlaymiz. Shu bilan birgalikda education for sustainable development deyilgan. Ta'lim barqaror rivojlanish uchun ta'limsiz kadrlarni yig'ishtirib bera olmaymiz. Shuning uchun bizlar hammamiz mana shu yerda sizlar kechqurun oilalaringiz bilan bo'lish o'rniga bizlar bilan birgalikda o'zlaringizni ishlash uchun yig'ilganlaringiz uchun men alohida rahmat demoqchiman. Katta rahmat hammalaringizga. O'zlaringizga bitta qarsak cholamiz. O'zlaringizga bitta qarsak.
Sizga ham rahmat.
Rahmat.
Katta
Katta oilamizga rahmat degan holda bitta yangilik aytmoqchiman. Bugun bizda Qashqadaryo viloyati uchun yangi UC filialini ochdik. Так что yaqinda Qashqadaryoda xuddi UC launching bo'ladi, opening ceremony bo'ladi. Nasib bo'lsa, Xudo xolasa, yo'dan ham onlayn, ham offline treyning qilamiz. Ko'rasizlar. Rahmat katta hammalaringizga. Bo'ldi. Nasib bo'lsa,
olmali pirog bo'lsin, olmali pirog.
Bizdan boraylik. Olmali pirog boramiz Jamila.
Olmali pirog bo'lsin.
Kelishdik. Rahmat hammalaringizga xayrli oqshom va happy weekend deydi-ku. Yaxshi dam olib,
You did great today. Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Very much. Next Friday.
Stay with your routine.
See you.
See you next Jamila, did you get photo?
Gapirganini eshitdingmi?
Kim gapirdi? Rahmat, sizlarga rahmat.
Rahmat Jamila.
Chiroylilarim ham hammasi shunday. Rahmat sizlarga ham.
Rahmat, menga rosa yo'qdi.
Rahmat.
Jamila, men bitta narsa qo'shayda shetga. Xayr deyishdan oldin bitta narsa qo'shayda.
Salima opa, ayting.
Qarasam bugun jim o'tiribman ekan. Xuddi xayrlashib turgan joyimiz haligi yaqinda bir internetda mashhur bo'ldi-yu, yapon darsligida chiqqan. O'zbeklarda salomlashishi bor-ku. Xuddi shuni o'zbeklarda xayrlashishi, o'z tilini xayrlashishi ham bir 10 minutga boradigan ishda.
Xayr, xo'p.
Yaxshi dam olinglar.
Yaxshi dam oling Jamila opajon, charchamang. Xo'p.
Rahmat. Rohat oy sizga alohida rahmat. Oybek, hammanglarga rahmat.
Sog' bo'linglar.
Bizani qo'llab-quvvatlaganinglar uchun. Oybek, sizga savol, men boya unaqa qilmadim. Rohatda o'chirishingiz mumkin zapisni agar vdруг. Anaqa Oybek syomka qilish